All right, thank you so much for joining us on ABC 24 News at midday. I'm Ruben Diaz. We are continuing our breaking news coverage of the verdict in the Hernandez Govan trial. In case you missed it, that verdict came out roughly around 10:45 this morning, and it was not guilty on both counts. The first charge was first-degree murder. He was found not guilty on that. The second charge he was charged with was conspiracy to commit murder. Again, found not guilty on that as well. Hernandez Govan was accused of being the mastermind in the death of rapper Young Dolph. He is now a free man, free to go after two not guilty verdicts. The jury began deliberating yesterday evening, roughly early in the afternoon, and then at some point in time they recessed for the day. They started back up around 9:30 this morning, and when they began, it took them less than an hour to come up with a verdict. We all got the call and the notification roughly around 10:30 that a verdict may be in, and by 10:45 that verdict had been read. And again, that verdict is not guilty on both counts. So far this morning, we've been able to hear from District Attorney Steve Mulroy, who mentioned that he was proud of his team, proud of the way that the trial team had started, and proud of the way that they had conducted themselves. He was just disappointed in the outcome at this point in time. We were also able to hear from Hernandez Govan's attorney very briefly, who did not have a lot to say, but basically said that if he would have been able to find the holes in this case in a year and a half, that he felt like the police and the prosecution could have found those same holes in that 4-year time frame. Then we were able to hear from Hernandez Govan, who was very emotional at the reading of the verdict and then was able to kind of express himself during a brief press conference or a brief question and answer time frame. He thanked his attorneys for their help, thanked them for helping him despite the fact that in his words, he may not have had the resources to compensate them for all the help that they were doing. He thanked the jurors for giving him his life back. He also thanked his friends and family for sticking through him throughout this process because he says he knew it had been difficult. Somebody had asked him when he thought he had a chance in this case, and he mentioned that he knew he had a chance from the very beginning because in his heart, he'd known he was always innocent. He also went on to say that he could not exactly describe what it meant when he heard the words not guilty, that basically you can't explain what it means to get your life back and to finally be free. He also mentioned that he was really fighting for his son, saying he had an autistic son. He had a son with autism, and that he wanted to make sure that he was going to be there for his son. Now, we have had reporters in the courtroom all week long and continuing all morning long as well. We will try to get you some live reports from them at the courthouse as they continue to get reaction throughout this morning. Again, all of this just happening within the last 15 to 20 minutes. But we are going to continue to go live and get you the very latest information. With that, let's go to ABC 24's Leah Williams, who's been in the courtroom all week and was there when the verdict was read. Leah?
Yeah, Ruben, I just want to touch on the emotion in the courtroom. In fact, even before the verdict was read, the judge had to warn people that if they were going to have an outburst, they needed to leave. And one woman, she bursted out in tears. She was a family member or a friend of Govan. She was sitting with his family, but she had to be taken out of the courtroom. Govan himself, very emotional. He grabbed his attorneys and hugged them right after, and I asked them what was going through his mind at that time, and he just said he's glad to have his life back so he could go back to his son that has autism. Now, there was a lot of emotion also on the other side from Young Dolph's family. D.A. Mulroy came out and talked to us about 10 minutes ago, and he said obviously Young Dolph's family is very upset and disappointed, but he said they don't blame the jury and they don't blame the trial team in this case, but overall just a lot of emotion in the courtroom. Even before we went in the courtroom, it was very nerve-wracking in the hallway, just waiting for the jury to come back with that verdict. And they actually did in only about 3 hours. Very quick, not guilty on both counts verdict, but just a lot of emotion from both families in this case. Ruben?